Hello, microbiologists. We are going to talk about innate immunity. Then I'm going to make one on acquired immunity. So let's start off strong with innate immunity. So an immune system overview. I'm going to, this sheet, which I will have available on Canvas, is a just like sky level overview of innate immunity. And then we're going to go through the slides to be a little bit more specific. Okay? All right. So the immune system overall, what is its job? Not just to kill invaders, really. It's to identify self cells and non-self cells and then, kung fu the non-self cells. But not the self cells. That's bad. Okay? So what's really key here, what we're going to talk about really a lot, is the identification of non-self cells. Say that a bunch of times fast. We are looking for the identification of you're not me, you're an invader. That primarily happens with a presence of antigens. Yeah, antigens. Remember when we talked about that? Proteins, it's usually a protein. And that antigen will be presented on an MHC platform that I am going to refer to as like a Facebook page or a Instagram or Snapchat or whatever you use, like, hey, I ate this thing and it's bad, here it is, and it's like a picture of your lunch or whatever. And that is going to tell people what is your self cells and what is your non-self cells. An MH1 platform, which is really your like social media platform, if you will. So, main purpose of immunity, distinguish between self and non-self. You're going to do that through antigens. Right? This is why you can't just take blood from anyone you want, right? You have to share the same antigens, right? This is why we can't just like switch body parts willy-nilly. You can't just give someone a kidney if they don't have the same antigens as you, okay? That's why. We will talk more specifically about that. Okay, let's talk about the difference between innate immunity and acquired immunity, which we'll talk about next time. These lectures will be innate immunity. You get this at birth. This is how your body attacks things from birth. You don't have to be exposed to it before. This is your initial response to the invaders or the non-self cell, bacteria, viruses, whatever. It is a fast response, right? Someone sneezes in your face. A few hours later, your body's already responded to this, right? That's gross. Don't sneeze in people's faces. This fights all these things with the same strategy. It does not have a specific strategy because it doesn't know what you just got sneezed, right? It's going to create an initial response that's like, get it out, get it out, get it out. Okay? So fight all the cells the same. Typically, that is phagocytose, which is kill. It's a sneaky word for phagocytize, like engulf it and like digest it and spit it back out. It's characterized by inflammation. Some of us experience this in the fall. Some of us experience this in the spring. You're inflamed, you're red, you're puffy, you're swollen. It's gross. And it's done by something called complement that we will talk about very specifically. Okay, versus acquired immunity, which we'll go over in the next set of lectures. This is acquired over time. You really have to be exposed to it, and then it's acquired. It takes days to mount an effective response through acquired immunity. It mounts a very specific response to each invader. This is due to the antigens that are there, and it remembers a repeat offender. This is why vaccines are things. This is why if you get it once, you usually don't get it again. The innate immune response is basically, thank you, patrolling white blood cells that attack and identify anything for it, right? They just kung fu. They're like, no, you're not a self cell, and just like kung fu fighting, right? This is great. Let's talk about inflammation, shall we? Yeah, inflammation. Okay, how do you know you're inflamed? Like, oh, dude, you're inflamed. You're red, puffy red, right? You're swelling, right? It's hot, it's painful, right? If you've ever like twisted an ankle, right? It's red, it's swollen, it's hot, and it's puffy. Okay? Why? Why? Okay. I sense an invader. What do I want to do? I want to be like all you kung fu ninjas, right? I want to get everybody there as fast as possible. So what am I going to do? I'm going to vasodilate. I'm going to make my blood cell, my vein, right? My blood vein. I'm going to make that as, so if it's normally like this, I'm going to make it like oozy and wide, right? We're going to get all the white blood cells to the business as soon as possible. And what else is going to happen? So it's oozy, right? What's going to happen between here? All of a sudden, things are going to ooze out. Okay, so the first thing that I do when I vasodilate is I attract the cells to the injury site. I get all my white blood cells, right? Come to me. This also creates a physical barrier to the spread of more because you're creating a little barrier that's like, no more. It promotes tissue repair once the invader's been dealt with. This is caused by, wait for it, this is so cool. This is caused by, this is a cytokine, an inflammatory cytokine. So the protein is produced by the white blood cells that's like, dude, go get help. That is a cytokine, and it vasodilates your blood. What? Yeah, very exciting. So it's going to open up your capillary pores. It's going to allow plasma proteins to enter that interstitial space. Okay, this picture is confusing. The white is actually your blood, and this is your interstitial space and like your tissue. I know that's hard, but like everything's kind of red and oozy, so we just went with blood here. Okay, so you got the cytokine, right? Here's what happens. You got an infection, you macrophage that, you're like, oh, this is bad, this is not a self-cell. That produces a cytokine that you can see. Look at this. Look at that, baby. That is like oozy, right? So now you're going to get those proteins coming out. All right. Now, all kinds of stuff that normally can't come out is here. So you've completely lost the entirety of this. Now, what's going to happen? Osmosis. Osmosis. You thought you were never going to use it. We're back. What happens when you have all these proteins in here? What's the water in here going to do? You're right. It's going to rush into here. It's going to rush into your interstitial space. What is that going to cause? Tell me. Tell me. It's going to cause osmosis. It's going to rush in and make it bigger, right? Just like whatever you did, like the gummy bear or the tissue or the potato or whatever you used in Enterobio. It's going to increase that. And that's going to cause what? Say it again. Swelling, right? We're going to swell up that area because we have all kinds of fluid in the interstitial space. That's going to be what? Painful, right? If my wrist is broken here and it's big, right? There's water in there from the osmosis, right? So it's going to be like swollen and red and painful and hot because you have a bunch of like extra blood in there. So it's going to be really, really hot. Yeah. Everybody good? Inflammation. Again, open the pores. It increases the osmotic pressure. Proteins go out. Oh, I forgot to talk about the word diapedesis. It's the migration of immune cells from blood to tissue. So how are we going to do that? Oh, let's back this up, right? Here we go. Look at these blood cells. All your good white blood cells are coming from the blood into the tissues. Diapedesis. Good times. White blood cells go through membranes. They follow chemotaxis. Chemotaxins. Basically a molecular marking the way to the site of the inflammation. So how do we get there? What's wrong, right? Your little white blood cell army that are kung fu ready to attack some non-self cells are like, show me the way. And you know who's like the yellow brick road of immunity is chemotaxins, right? They're like a little trail. This way, this way. Also increases plasma proteins. You get antibodies at this site. You get complement proteins at this site. You get clotting factors at this site in case you're like oozing blood. And this causes swelling and pain. Yeah? Vasodilation causes the red, the heat, the swelling and the pain. Do we know how to do that? Everybody's good with it? Okay. Fever. Can I do fever in 30 seconds? Let's find out. Basically, what is the advantage of having a fever? It, again, enhances that white blood cell activity. Some immune reactions happen better at high temperatures, right? It like alerts the media. So, fun fact, if you do sauna or mostly sauna, a little bit hot tub, but if you do sauna, it actually increases your immune system because it sort of calls the soldiers to attention all the time because you're sitting in a super hot sauna, and that prevents you from getting infections. Next video. I'll see you in a minute. Go do sauna.